I am going to go ahead and start that now. We'll go ahead and get started now. Dave, I know I need to make you a host so that you can share stuff. Okay. So I'm Chris Makajewski. I'm the CEO for YWCA Northwestern Illinois, and we are your Region 2 Healing Illinois intermediary. I know that we have people on from other regions, and I think we have other Healing Illinois intermediaries on today as well. We opened our training up to the entire network so that everyone could get kind of the same message and the same materials. So if you have any questions, today is the day to answer them. My CFO is on today and will be presenting this material to you today. Dave Holmeth is my CFO here at YWCA Northwestern Illinois, and he is who you will be communicating with on the fiscal reporting for your grant programs. Tomorrow, if you're not registered, you need to make sure you're registered for the onboarding sessions that Field Foundation will be hosting. Tomorrow's meeting is really all about the your programmatic reporting and a lot of the wraparound things that we will have going on through Healing Illinois and some of the communications. So I am going to go ahead and kick this over to Dave. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat box, and I will try to keep up with those along with Dave. So, Dave, if you want to go ahead and kick that off, feel free.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I am going to share my screen. I'm going to share the Excel spreadsheet that everyone will be using on a monthly basis. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Share. Okay, everyone can see that reporting form?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Dave,
Yes.
you probably want to make that a little bit bigger if you can. Down in your very bottom right.
Better?
Yep.
Okay, so when you get this form, you'll notice it's November to December and then a narrative, January, February, and then a narrative, March, April, a narrative, May, June, a narrative. Okay, so what you're going to do is on this November, December, you're going to type in your name. And so right now you'll see it says grantee name. Now, if you were to change it, and we'll put new grant there as an example. When you go to the January tab, that carries over for you, and you only have to do that on that first page, on this first one. That also is the same with your FEIN. I'm not going through a full number there, but you'll see it carries forward through the rest of those. So once you fill that in on the November, you're set as far as that goes, okay? The budget is going to work the same way. You're going to enter your budget. We'll say 5,000, 2,500, and travel. We'll say 250. Equipment, no. Supplies, 4,500 or 450, and contracts. We'll say 5,200, and consultant. We'll say 150. Occupancy, we'll go 350. Telecommunications. 100. You'll notice as you're going along here, you'll see it's filling in here on the total direct and then the total expenditures. It is not filling out your indirect cost, okay? But you'll notice it shows a remaining balance over here. This part here, you cannot change. These are the items that will carry forward for you automatically on those next tabs, as will this budget. So these blue areas are the only areas that you'll need to fill in on a monthly basis, or bi-monthly basis, I should say. And so we'll just go with, you decided on $1,000 for indirect. So we're looking at 15,000 here. So when you look at this January tab, that budget's already there, remaining balance available because we haven't put any expenses in at this point. And that carries through every single tab. Okay? Any questions so far?
No,
So now let's say we're reporting for November, December, and we're going to say we have 375 in expenses for salaries and 200 on benefits, travel. There wasn't much, we'll say 15. You'll notice that's starting to show your numbers here that you're entering here are showing as the expense to date, and it's reducing that remaining balance available and showing how much of a percentage of your expenditures you've used. Okay, so when you go to the January, February tab, you will notice that prior reporting periods is what you put in the November, December tabs. Okay, so that is going to be carrying through for each month along the way. So as you add in January, we'll say you put in 500 and 75 and 15. So now we have prior reporting periods, the current charges, total remaining balance, amount you've expended to date so far. And again, that's going to carry forward through those other tabs. So this is going to be recording it. You're going to be able to, on a bi-monthly basis, when you're doing your reporting, you're going to be able to see, okay, I have 17% that I've spent, I have 11% I've spent, and you're going to be able to kind of keep track along the way, as well as following your own budget, where you are at in the process of spending down those dollars. Because you want to remember, there is no extension, there is no continuing on after June 30. Whatever is not spent by June 30 must be returned. And there's no options to extend it out. You can't carry any projects beyond the 30th of June. That's a hard stop, dead end date. So any funds not expended by June 30 must be returned. Okay? Now, when you're filling out these November, Decembers, you're also going to notice if you go to the narrative, because you're going to need to fill this out as well. Those, pardon? Oh. So you'll see when you added those numbers in on the expense tab, it populates this narrative tab, right? Now you're going to just list what that is. So we'll just say personnel wages. Okay, and we'll put benefits. And then whatever benefits you happen to have for your staff for that period. So maybe it's health insurance. Or maybe it's comp. Work comp, okay? So you'll need to put that information in here as well. You'll need to type that in here for each reporting period. And here you can just put mileage or totals, whatever the case may be. So you're going to need to put those in. Now, when you put those in, the other thing you're going to need to remember is every single thing that you are reporting on, whether it's personnel wages, benefits, whatever it is, you will also need to have a PDF of the invoiced expense as well as a copy of the check that was used to pay that. You will need to attach that as a PDF when you submit. Now you can do an entire PDF that is all of your November expenditures, all of your December expenditures. So you can do it as a month PDF, but you will need to attach those PDF expenditure copies for verification of the expense. Does everyone have the ability to do the PDF?
Yes. Can I ask you a question? What if we pay with a credit card as opposed to a check?
Okay, so if you use a credit card, you will need a PDF of the statement showing that portion of the expenditure. I don't need the entire copy of the credit card invoice. I just need the copy that shows the dates and what that expense was, and then you can highlight it before you say scan it in and create a PDF with it.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. And the same too, like if when you're doing your personnel wages, you could use a report from your payroll reports, or if you have a copy of a time card would work as well, as far as showing that someone worked those hours. But you will need to have something related to that as well. Health insurance, you know, if you're, whether it's a check or a credit card, you'll need that initial invoice and then the proof of payment for that. For travel,
Did you say, excuse
Go
me,
ahead.
did you say for personal wages? For personal wages, we'll need a sign-in sheet or something of that sort?
Yeah, you'll either need a copy of their time card, or you will need, like, with whoever does your payroll, you should have a payroll report that shows John Doe was paid $100 for doing this portion of work. As long as we have something related to that from either personnel or time sheets, those will work for backup for those.
Okay,
I have
No
a
problem.
question as well.
Sure.
Will payroll reports work as backup for the fringe benefits?
That's not your payroll report is not going to show things like health insurance if you're covering health insurance costs. So I would need health insurance costs. But if you're talking, well, it depends. What type of benefits do you have showing up on your payroll report, like life insurance or something like that? That could be on there as well.
Okay, yeah, we have payroll reports that show all fringe specifically related to each employee.
Perfect. That would work.
So that would work. Okay,
Yes.
and then do you need a copy of their paycheck as proof of payment?
As long as you have your payroll reports, you should be fine.
Okay, thank you.
Did anyone else have any other questions?
I have a
Where
question.
do-
Where do we
sorry.
submit the PDFs?
It'll be an attachment just like the Excel spreadsheet will be.
Okay.
And you'll be sending those to us at our Healing Illinois address, not the Field Foundation. And we'll put that email that you'll be sending these to in the chat. So you'll be able to see it there and you'll be able to save that. I will be sharing this Excel spreadsheet with everyone as well. It will be the copy that's not my sample for the presentation, will be the actual one you use. So everyone will need to fill out this budget and everybody will need to fill out each one of these months. Again, each month you'll notice the parts you need to have entered are in blue for each of those months. So you'll need to change your date prepared every month and then your monthly expenditures. Also, when you're submitting, you are going to need to type in your information down here as far as who is signing off on the report, a wet signature. So I'll need a scanned version of this page as well with a signature, as well as their email and the date they're submitting and their telephone number. So you'll be able to add that in there. Now, I'll still need the Excel spreadsheet, but I will want print off this page. Whoever's filling out and authorizing the report will need to sign it, and then you'll need to scan that in as a PDF as well. So you'll have PDFs that include this page with a signature, the PDF backup documentation for expenditures, and then the actual Excel file of this. Does everyone follow what they need for those? Again, I will let everyone know that that will be due at that point. Obviously, we're only doing November, December, January, February, so we're not doing a monthly report. However, because of our timing with when we were able to get all the funds dispersing out and also timing as far as when we could have a training when everybody could attend, normally I would want this invoicing by the 15th of the month. However, for the month of January, the 30th will be fine. However, the January, February, I will want by March 15th. Again, I will send everybody an email with those dates of due dates for the final reporting. Obviously, our June narrative and in May, June billing, I'm going to need that by the 15th of July because I have to have that information out to Field Foundation in very short order after that.
Dave, there's a couple of questions in the chat. How do you want us to share expenses that are allocated on a monthly basis?
Okay, well, you'll need to track that monthly basis, and that will be part of your normal, say, November, December. You're gonna record those. You can put them as one number that encompasses both November and December, and report those in there, and then have the attachments that you're sending as backup documentation will show when those happen. So we're gonna be able to see, okay, this is from November, this is from December. But if it's a monthly allocation, say you're basing it on FTE and square footage for gas or electric or things of that nature, I'll need both the November and the December billing copies and backup for payment. And you can just put one number that encompasses that entire cost for the November, December report.
David, that was my question. I asked this because we, like you mentioned, for occupancy
Write a
costs,
pass.
we have,
Just
I mean, a
you
couple
have to remember. Yeah.
expenses
And start it.
for occupancy.
Excuse me.
Hold on one moment. If
Can
you're
Vicky
not
Howard-
speaking, can you
I'm
please
sorry,
mute your-
we have some, Vicky Howard, will you
Yes,
please
can you
mute
please put your
yourself?
phone on mute if you're not speaking.
People need to please mute if you're not speaking. Otherwise, I will have to remove you from the call. Thank you.
Nicole, could you say that again, please?
Sure. So I asked this because, like, for our occupancy costs, we have 16 different grants that we're working with. So we have a fairly large building, so we have a couple hundred, receipts or expenses that we put under occupancy on a monthly basis. That's
Sure.
going to be an absorbent amount of time for us to scan in every single one of those receipts. Is that what you're needing? Or, like, in that circumstance, could we send like a GL report that shows all of the expenses included in our building costs that were allocated?
That would work. A GL report
Okay.
would work for me as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
And Dave, I just answered this on there, but for payroll hours that, are those only to be reported for activities related to the Healing Illinois grant? Some employees work in multiple departments.
Yes, I will still need something that shows their time in Healing Illinois. So if their time card or time study, however you're doing your reporting for your staff, I'm still going to need that. And if it's showing that they're in 3 different grants, that's fine. I just need to know, they're paid at this portion. What of that is the Healing Illinois? I need to know that.
You can only charge Healing Illinois activities to this grant. I understand the question. You might have someone in multiple departments who is doing work on this, but the only thing that can be charged to this are the hours they work on this grant. Another question is, can we pay helpers with Zelle or Cash App?
If you can provide backup documentation that shows they were paid, that's basically like using a payment system inside your bank account. So yes, but I will still need documentation backup.
You also would still want to make sure you have a W-9. If you're paying people to do this work that may not be your employees, if you don't have a W-9 from anyone that you happen to be paying, that's going to fall on your unemployment insurance. So that could end up costing you a lot more money down the line if you're not getting the appropriate documentation.
And additionally, if they're paid over $600 within the year, they will need to send them a 1099 at the end of the year as well.
Yeah.
Or they can be held responsible for the taxes related to that by the IRS.
Dave, another question. You mentioned everything has to be paid by June 30th. What if an item was ordered in May, but we've not received it by the invoice date in June? Can we submit it in July?
Every single receipt for every single payment must be by June 30. The state of Illinois is the final arbiter or final disperser of these funds, and they have a drop dead date of 6/30. So if you haven't paid it by June 30, it can't be reported. And if the funds weren't expended by June 30, you will need to send them back. There is no extension
Additionally,
beyond June 30.
all of the activities have to stop as of June 30 as well. Dave, should we report zeros if we don't have any expenses for November, December?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a threshold for expense documentation support, or are all expense receipts required?
All of them. There's no
Um,
threshold, because if the state of Illinois decides, hey, we're going to review every single one of these, we have to provide all documentations for every single dollar, or they will require the money be returned.
Jalen Bay, can you explain your question? I'm not sure what your question is about a consultant.
Hi, Chris. You answered my question already in reference to the W-9 and the 1099, so thank you for that.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks. I just want to make sure we answered it. Do we use the date that an item is ordered or check is written, credit card statement, date for payment?
Okay, so somewhat of that depends on whether you are accrual or cash basis. However, the simple rule for this particular grant would be if you expended those dollars and you have the backup documentation, report it then.
Our rent is a portion of the whole rent for the Healing Illinois grant. How do we show the verification of the rent?
Okay, so what you can do is obviously the rent is being paid in some fashion, whether it's through an ACH, which an ACH note from the bank would work, or a check, copy of the check. You can also list a copy of one of the PDFs can be a copy of the rent agreement, which will show what your monthly is. And then we'll be able to see, here's what was paid, here's what's being charged to the grant. So we will be able to see that. Now, obviously, the Healing Illinois is not going to be the entirety of your rent unless you're renting out a location for an event. Otherwise, I would not expect the entire rent for an entire building to be applied to the Healing Illinois grant.
Dave, what are the reporting expectations for indirect costs?
Indirect cost, I will still need to know what the general charges are for in the narrative. You'll want to put, indirect personnel, indirect building and maintenance, things of that nature. For the indirect costs, pulling every single indirect charge for an indirect cost would be excessively time consuming. So for that, that's usually just a percentage of your total direct costs. As long as I have a narrative of this is covering this of the indirect, you're fine. You shouldn't have to find the indirect copy of your phone bill or your light bill, you would be there forever. So just listing, here's what we have as our indirect costs, and the amount should suffice. It's those direct costs that I really need to be able to say, here's a copy of the gas bill, the electric bill, the payments to these individuals, because that's what the state of Illinois is typically going to be asking for. Now, they may come back and say, well, we see the indirect, we would like to have copies of those as well, at which point I will be coming to you saying, I need this for you. Otherwise, it would be overburdensome for you to pull up every single thing that's an indirect, because that can get really extensive.
Dave, what if the funds need to shift between categories? What's the process of getting approval for a budget modification?
Okay, so for the instance of a budget modification, if it's anything under 10%, just spend the dollars and note where you've spent them, so we will know. If it's anything larger than 10%, you will need to submit it to us and we can review it and provide approval for that.
Dave, Tara is with Indian Prairie School District, and she's asking if an employee is working after hours on a Healing Illinois project, would that be reported in your personnel or the contractual, that different agencies at the state require them to do one or the other? What's your preference?
Okay, so my question really for that is, are they being paid as their normal salaries, or do they have a specific setup of you'll be doing this as contract labor afterward? Simply because when you're talking the contractual stuff, you should have somebody who's more likely than not a 1099 third party. So if they're doing it under their normal wages, personnel.
Great. Yeah, it's actually a contractual rate that are through collective bargaining. So like every individual, regardless of the project, would receive the same rate, but they fill out a paper time card. So you would still
That'll
consider
work. You
that
can put
personnel.
that under contractual.
Oh, contractual. Okay, because they're not
Sure.
technically, like, they don't have a separate EIN. It's just only, work for a particular grant funded project. So you would still consider that contractual, even though there's no scope of work.
Yeah, well, and the reason being is in your agreement for your contract, you have it listed as a contractual item. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying basically like our general contract that every employed person signs with the union says that if you exceed the number of hours you work in a week, or if you're doing like a funded project outside of contract hours, then everyone gets paid, for example, like $40 an hour. So because it was like a set rate and everybody gets the same thing under like this large collective bargaining agreement, some departments at the state have said that's contractual, and then other departments at the state have said that's they're still filling out a time card, that's personnel. So what would be your preference?
Okay, so I misunderstood what you were saying before. So yes, personnel. Because
Thank
it's still their normal personnel.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, no problem.
Thanks, Tara. Let's see. I have sent actual credit card receipts in the past that have been scanned into a PDF. Is this still acceptable, or do you want the credit card statement?
Credit card receipts would work as well.
Okay. Jessica says she's still confused on personnel wages. Do we need to provide tacked time cards of work being done for the grant only? For salary staff, there is no clock in and clock out of tracking of hours worked outside that staff members manage their time. Tracked.
So they're not tracking their time at all?
Jessica, do you want to jump on and answer that question?
Yeah, just for our salary, like members, we don't clock in and clock out. We have like a schedule time of when to be in the office, but based on like other outside community engagement events or outside additional work, we comp our time and we come in at like different hours if we worked later the night before. For our advocacy group, which is what our grant is being used for, we do track like our meetings, who participated, and the work that we put into it. I guess I'm just kind of confused on like how should we go about tracking the personnel time?
Okay. So you guys don't fill out like a time study of what they do, what they're doing throughout the day?
No.
I mean, you don't have to clock in or out, but what they should be doing is they should be tracking what amount of time they're putting into this grant, because that's going to allow you to know how much you can actually bill for them. So you will need them to track when they're working on the Healing Illinois.
Okay. How have you had individuals do that before in the past? What has been successful? Like just an Excel sheet, when somebody starts a work, brief description of what they're doing, and then like a timestamp for when they left or stopped doing that work.
Yeah, something along that lines would be good. Because when you look at the reason you have to track grants and things like that, it's actually a requirement for any state that receives federal funds, because the federal government requires, if you're working in a grant, you must track your time to each grant. So if you have an Excel spreadsheet for each staff member who's doing the work, on Tuesday I worked on Healing Illinois from 10 a.m. to noon, and then Wednesday I worked on it from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. As long as I have something along those lines for each staff member, that would work, as well as the payroll sheets, as I mentioned. Or,
right.
If they're not clocking in and out there, you're still going to have a record of them being paid on a payroll report.
Correct. Okay, perfect. Thank you guys so much for explaining that.
Oh, no problem.
Lachey Hudson, can we create timesheets? Did that just answer your question?
What I was saying was, for those who are salary workers or contracting workers who don't have time cards or time sheets or anything, would it be best just to create a timesheet and then put it in a PDF for you all?
Yes.
Okay.
Are there any other questions that anyone has? Dave, you were going to put the form, the report
into chat. It wasn't allowing me to do it. It said I needed admin permission.
Oh, okay. What we will do is we will send this out we'll send the document out again. I think it's already been sent out once, I'm not sure. But we will send that out again after this meeting today.
Yes. Yep, we'll get
Maritza,
that out
I
there.
think that you're on. I put the link in for the onboarding tomorrow. I'm hoping that that link works. Can you drop the link into the chat, Maritza, for tomorrow's onboarding in case someone hasn't registered?
Yeah, I'll send it, and everyone will receive more documents along with the expense report tomorrow. And I see a couple people, I see a lot, obviously a lot of sub-grantees from your region, and I see a couple of people outside your region, and maybe you and Dave shared this, Chris, but just so there's no confusion, all sub-grantees will submit your expense report to your designated intermediary, and I'll cover that tomorrow just so that we're all on the same page. And I'll go through a little bit more information about that, but just wanted to add that addition. And like I said, maybe you shared this already, but just so that we're on the same page. But I'll put the link for the registration right now.
Thank you, Maritza.
Thank you.
Dave, there's a couple of other questions. Let's see. Yes, this recording will be available. Are we able to include the times that we spent on Healing Illinois trainings and drafting reports for time included in personnel wages?
Any time you spent on Healing Illinois in November or December will be the first report that you do. So if you were doing those things in November or December, as long as you have the time tracked and you can provide the backup documentation, absolutely.
Are there
Nothing
any
before November
templates?
1st.
Are there any templates for any of the information or supporting documentation that we should be providing in the format you all prefer that you can share?
Well, the format we would prefer for any backup documentation should be a PDF from Adobe, typically. The signed copy of the report where you have the actual wet signature also would be a PDF. Otherwise, we will need a copy of the Excel spreadsheet that you filled out every time you send in your report.
People are asking to be added. I don't know what regions you're in, so I'm not going to just be able to add you. You need to reach out to your region. If you're not receiving communications, you need to reach out to your region. So if you're not getting these, for instance, like today's meeting, if you got that through someone else and you want to start receiving emails from Region 2, then you need to reach out to me via email and I will have you added. Otherwise, you reach out to your own region because, like Maritza said, we have multiple regions on this call today. How can we provide proof of personnel payment by using Gusto? I don't know what Gusto is, Dave.
Neither do I.
Lachey, I'm not sure what you're talking about there. Can you share?
Yes, it's a payment system.
Can I answer that?
Marilyn, did you want to? Yes, go ahead, Marilyn.
I know how to do that. There's a report that you can run on Gusto when you enter it.
If it shows who you paid, how much you paid them, and when it was
does.
done,
yes,
perfect. That'll work.
Yeah. So it's under the report section.
Okay.
Marilyn, thank you for that. Nana, you have a question?
Yes, I just have a question about the recording. Is it different than last year or this is the same? Because when I look at it, it looks similar to what we have used last year.
The process.
Just want to make sure it's the same. So again,
the process is different. The process is different and the timing is different. I'm not sure yet what Maritza will be sharing tomorrow during the onboarding, what the programmatic reports look like.
Okay.
For the programmatic reporting, the form that you will be filling out is very similar to what you filled out last year for the financial, but the process is different and the timing on your reporting is different.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is correct. And just to chime in, as Chris mentioned, last year everything was sent to field. this year, all subgrantees need to send their financial reports to their intermediary. So
Okay.
that is a change this year. For the
Okay.
most part, we're all using the same report. We're all
Mhm.
using the same process. But if you need approval, if there's any
Mhm.
questions you have about the expense,
Mhm.
your first point of contact has to be your intermediary. So even if
Okay.
you email me, I'm just going to
Mhm.
kick you back to your intermediary because we
Mhm.
really, they're there to for a resource. They're there to be your support. So we're really leveraging our intermediaries more this year than we have in the past. So that is one big difference from last year.
Okay. Very helpful. Thank you.
And just so everybody is aware, when you're submitting that reporting, I have 2 staff accountants who work with me, and all 3 of us will be going through and checking everything. So if we have questions, we will be emailing you and saying, you know, why do we have this happening here or there? And if you have questions, you'll be able to, you know, reply and say, well, we did it this way because. So as we're going along, I will be reviewing those, and we'll be able to keep everybody on track with where you're at that way. So if you have questions, you'll be able to ask us right away as well. Because
Dave,
we're here to help you
again,
be able to report properly.
if someone doesn't have expenses in November and December, they still need to send in their report, correct, with zeros?
Absolutely, with zeros.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. The details Robert Blackwell's asking, are the details of these reporting requirements provided in writing to the grantees? This was all in your agreement. So I would direct you back to your agreement. And if you need further information, reach out to your intermediary. For the Region 2, we would prefer all of your reports to go to the Healing Illinois at YWCANWIL email. I have just put that in the chat. I know Dave and I both have a lot of email that we receive, and we don't want any of this to get stuck in other email that we might be getting. So it's very helpful. I know a lot of you email me direct, but I'm asking if you would please use that Healing Illinois, HealingIL at YWCANWIL.org. That would make things a lot easier. I don't know about Region 3. You guys are going to have to reach out to your intermediaries to find out where they want theirs to be emailed. If it's not already in your agreement, I would, again, direct you back to your agreement. A lot of this stuff is in your agreement. I know the time frames of when you should be doing your reports and that sort of thing is all in your agreement. Any other questions? Does anyone else have any other questions that we can answer for you today? I've seen a couple of people saying they got a lot of clarity from this, so I'm glad.
And keep in mind, I'm happy to answer any questions as well if somebody needs something. And if, as Chris mentioned, if you do email us at Healing Illinois YWCA, I will be able to answer those as well. And if for some reason I'm really busy doing other things, Chris will let me know, hey, I don't know if you saw the Healing Illinois email. Could you please respond? And I will respond as quickly as possible. I try to make sure if you email me, I'm getting back to you at the very latest within the next couple of hours. I don't like even to wait until the next day. I'm going to answer you that day.
Thanks, Dave. This is really not much different than those of you who have state grants and you have to do your monthly reporting. This is really not any different than the information you're having to provide to the state. So if you're a smaller organization that's not used to this process, that might not have state grants, this is a really good primer for you in what it's going to take to build the capacity to be able to manage those state grants from a fiscal standpoint and a reporting standpoint. So please do ask questions if you have them. We're happy to provide that TA as we go through this process. The next meeting, Shay, is actually going to be tomorrow for the onboarding. Maritza put that link in there. If you have not registered for the onboarding, that is tomorrow. So please hit that onboarding I'm not sure exactly when we will be having another fiscal meeting or if we will need another fiscal meeting. Maritza, I believe you will maybe have some touch point meetings throughout the Healing Illinois grant process. So
Yeah, that's our plan. And the recording for tomorrow will be, sorry, the onboarding session for tomorrow will be recorded. So for folks that are unable to attend, we will share the recording and any additional materials. I see a lot of questions about like when are the due dates? Are there other forms we need to fill out? You will get all that tomorrow. As Chris said, a lot of the basic information that you do need is in the grant award letter, but we'll also go over all that tomorrow. So yeah, so thank you. Thanks, Chris, and thanks, David, for putting this together.
absolutely.
I do want to let Tara know, when we send out that email with the Excel, all those report due dates will be listed with the report we're sending to you to report with. So you'll have all your due dates listed there, so everybody knows when we have to have those out. However, just as a review, the November, December, because of timing, will be January 30th. Okay. After that, the January, February will be due March 15th, and so on. They're basically the 15th of the month after the period ends, with your final report being due July 15th.
Let's see. Was going to show the, let's see, have that up to. Hold on, I was going to show you the, well, it went away. Hold on. I was going to pull up for you the, oh, here it is. Can you guys see my screen that has the schedule for the reporting? Okay, so this is in your contract. This is in your agreement. It is on page 2. Your schedule is there for when everything is due. So January 23rd, March 6th, March 8th, because we also have to have time to get things packaged and to Field Foundation. Because when you send us all of your reporting, we then have to package that and then we have to get it to the Field Foundation. So your dates are in there for when each one of your reports are due. That is for Region 2, that was in your agreement. Okay. So just wanted to make sure that you were able to see that and know where to look for that in your agreement. But again, Maritza will go through that tomorrow on your programmatic reporting. For fiscal for Region 2, that is your reporting schedule for your financial stuff.
I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Some of those dates might be a little hard for us to meet based on when our payroll data is available. Is there any like day or two wiggle room if our payroll reports are not ready by like the 6th or whatnot? So in order to fill out the invoice and in order to provide the proper backup that is required, I would have to wait for our payroll reports to be prepared. And sometimes those are not prepared and ready by the 6th of the following month.
Dave?
Yeah, when you're looking at that, we have the same issue with that as well. So if you have that occurring, reach out to me and let me know, and we can adapt.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, and then I saw there's a question here about miscellaneous costs. If you have miscellaneous costs in your budget, that's where you would put those expenses if you have them. And as long as you have your backup detail and it's part of your miscellaneous cost budget, that should be fine. It's from Melissa Lopez. Had that question. Okay. I could not get the Excel to load into the chat, so that will be sent out as an email. So if you do, once you receive that, if you have no expenses, you can fill that out and get it right to us. Blackwell asked if we can be reached by phone. Yes, I can. Just reach out to me and I'll make sure I talk with you on the phone.
Region 1 is Maritza is at the Field Foundation. She is Region 1. Tara, I just saw your email on that. So she is Region 1. YWCA Northwestern Illinois is Region 2. Marnie, I saw that you're on here. Which region are you?
Marnie's region 4.
4.
Yeah. And basically for folks that are still on the call, so there's no confusion, whoever you received your grant award letter from, that is the person, that is the intermediary or the entity that will manage your grant. Because we did move a couple of stuff around. Just don't base it off of the region alone. Whoever you received the grant award letter from is the person that's managing your grant. So that is something to keep in mind. But yes, if you received the grant award letter directly from Field, then that is who you reach out to, which would be me if you have any questions, and so on and so forth. But I'll remind everyone tomorrow.
Is there anything else anyone needs before we end today?
Chris, I did want to. Could you read Vicki Jacobson's? Because of the later time frame of when we could do this training for everyone, I'm good with the 30th.
If you're okay with the 30th for this January one, I'm okay with that one.
Perfect. So yeah, let's go with the 30th for everybody, so they have time to get their stuff and do all their scanning and stuff, and I'll take care of it on my end for what I need to get to Maritza should she need anything from me.
Okay.
Because I just want to make sure that everybody has enough time to gather their information, kind of go through the process for that first time. My team and I can make sure that everything is taken care of for that.
And then I'm sorry, did I hear earlier in the chat in the call that the next one would be March 15th as opposed to that date that's on the award letter?
No, everything else should be following the schedule of the award letter.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah. Byram, you had a question about indirect cost reporting. Yes, we answered that. Dave, will you walk through the indirect cost real quick again?
Sure.
How to report it.
So when you're recording those indirect costs, when you look at that narrative section, list what those indirect costs are. So, it's indirect related to personnel and electric and gas, those types of things. Okay. However, to send copies of everything related to the indirect as far as PDFs, that would be very difficult for any one organization to do. As long as I have PDFs for all of the main direct costs, the indirect I would only reach out to you for should the state of Illinois say they want to see them. Otherwise, it's basically a percentage of your direct costs, knowing that you have those indirect costs available.
And it cannot exceed 15%.
Correct. And somebody you may not even be doing the full 15%. It's just whatever you're recording as, hey, we expended this of the indirect. I'll need the listing in the narrative section of what it is. But for the indirect costs, you do not have to send me a PDF of those. But for all of your direct, I must have PDF backup documentation.
And if you didn't budget for indirect, then what if you decide now to take indirect, that comes out of your grant. So you'll have to take that out of some other line item because whatever your award was, that is your award. You can't exceed it.
Which of course then they would need to reach out to us to let us know as well.
Exactly. Yeah, for Region 2, you would need to reach out to Dave and let him know.
Yeah.
So, anything else, Marnie? Do you have anything you want to share from your region or Byram? I know we have a few intermediaries on. Is there anything you want to share from your regions?
Chris, thank you. I just wanted to reiterate, like, if you have questions, reach out to your intermediary. I do not want Dave getting a bunch of Region 4 questions. So please, I know we hit on that one a couple times, reach out to your intermediary. Everyone in Region 4 has received communication. They'll receive more after tomorrow's meeting with Field Foundation.
Thanks. Any other intermediary need to or want to jump in?
I appreciate in letting us be involved as well, but appreciate and I agree with everything you said.
Thanks, Byron. If some funds go toward rent and utilities, does that need to be listed in the indirect?
Wherever you are applying the funds and putting the funds in your grant report will be where you need to have that. And so if you have funds that are indirect for rent, listed under indirect. If it's a direct charge that you have placed in your budget, you will put it under the direct, and I'll need backup documentation. So utilities, the same thing. And you may have a portion that is of utilities that are both direct and indirect. So if that's the case, you will need to list them as such.
Maritza, do you want to add anything else before we end?
Not on my end. Thank you again. Just very grateful again to you and your team for putting this together, and we'll share more information tomorrow, which will be very similar to what just happened here, in addition to just some additional data collection that we'll do. So we'll have our evaluator on the call, and we'll have our comms team on the call as well that will talk about just storytelling and how we'll be capturing that information and whatnot. So just more on data collection tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We really appreciate your time today. We want to make sure we get this kicked off well and everyone feels prepared to hit the ground rolling. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.